In today's video, we'll be taking a look at some of the best potential solo builds to use against the newly announced 7-star SALAMENCE Tera Raid that's coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet very soon. SALAMENCE is a dragon and flying type Pokemon, but for this 7-star raid, it will have the flying Tera type, with weaknesses to primarily rock, electric, and ice type Pokemon. These attackers are what we would generally want to focus our attention towards to guarantee super effective damage, but one of SALAMENCE's strongest attributes is its extensive move pool, which gives it near perfect coverage and makes it difficult to reliably know what attacking options will work out best. SALAMENCE has a base stat total of 600, with good speed and high special and physical attacking stats. With 135 base stats in its physical attack and 110 in its special attack, we will likely see a mixed attacking SALAMENCE in this raid. Its defenses are an even split of 80 base stats each, so both physical and special attacking options to use against it will be as good as one another going into this raid. When looking at its setup, its main stat boosting option is Dragon Dance, which boosts its attack and speed by 1 stage every time used. This on top of its already sky-high physical attack could make it quite difficult to handle in battle, boosting the power of options like Dragon Claw and Dual Wing Beat, its best physical dragon and flying type options. For coverage in this raid, we are likely to see Earthquake, which would make bringing any electric type Pokemon to this raid extremely difficult. Iron Head is another physical option SALAMENCE has access to, which would make using fairy types that would normally have that dragon immunity a great option, a really hard bring. Special attacking options are pretty potent as well. Draco Meteor could be another strong dragon type attack we see being used alongside the combination of something like Rain Dance and Hurricane, which would play into its flying Tera type quite well, giving Hurricane 100% accuracy when the rain is on the field, as well as its secondary effect of confusion. And if we do see the inclusion of something like Rain Dance, we could also see other special coverage like Hydro Pump, which would play off that Rain Dance and give any rock type you want to bring into this raid a very hard time. It's also worth mentioning it does get access to Flamethrower and Fire Blast, which would give great coverage against ice type threats and steel type Pokemon that resist dragon and flying type moves. Although in my opinion, it's unlikely we see these options, especially if Rain Dance is an option on this SALAMENCE. On top of these great move choices, SALAMENCE has a decent base ability in Intimidate, but the scary option we could see in this raid is its hidden ability Moxie. This, especially in a solo raid situation, could be quite potent, as Moxie activates anytime an opposing Pokemon is knocked out, giving the user a +1 to its attacking stat. If we do see SALAMENCE have its hidden ability in this raid, it could become one of the most difficult solo raids we've had in a long time. Now, with all this information taken into consideration, the set I expect SALAMENCE to have in this raid is something like Hydro Pump, Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and Hurricane, with its additional moves of Dragon Dance, Rain Dance, and Draco Meteor. And I do think it will have its hidden ability, unlike 7-star Tyranitar that had its base ability, so do expect SALAMENCE to carry that Moxie ability coming into this raid. Of course, before the raid goes live, this is all just best guess, but regardless of what the SALAMENCE has when the raid goes live, I have put together a number of builds in-game that have the potential to solo this Mightiest Morph Pokemon when it goes live. The first build I'm going to feature in today's video that I think could do well against the 7-star SALAMENCE is going to be Eelektross. It is an electric type. It has got the electric Tera typing, Shell Bell for the held item here, and of course level 100 and Hyper Train, so all those IVs are set to 31. The moveset I've went for is going to be Gastro Acid, Acid Spray, Lunge, and Discharge. And the EV spread is going to be 252 EVs in HP and in special attack with a modest nature. The remaining EVs just put into that defense stat. The big important thing here is this ability of Levitate. It's going to give you the immunity to that potential earthquake threat that the SALAMENCE has. The idea of this set is to get around that potential Moxie ability threat. With Gastro Acid, we can open up the raid with that, take that Moxie ability away, and then utilize things like Lunge, which is going to reduce the attacking stat on the SALAMENCE, keep those Dragon Dances in check. And then we've got the combination of Acid Spray to reduce the special defense on that SALAMENCE by 2 stages every time we use it. Also, we tick down turns on our terrestrialization counter and then utilize Discharge. It has a good chance to paralyze the target Pokemon, as well as doing some super effective damage. So all in all, I do think Eelektross could be a very good option going into this raid, although we'll have to come down to see what the SALAMENCE comes out with. when the raid goes live. Next up is Cetitan, an Ice-type Pokemon with that Ice Tera typing, going to be able to hit for super effective damage once again. Shell Bell is the held item here, and of course it is level 100 and Hyper Trained. The moveset of went for is going to be Snowscape, Belly Drum, Entrainment, and Avalanche. So you can see a bit of a theme here with the movesets between these first two. The EV spread is going to be 252 EVs in special defense and in defense, with an Adamant Nature and the remaining EVs put into that HP stat. The ability here is going to be Slush Rush, so we can take advantage of the Snowscape, be fast as possible in that scenario. But the big thing about this set is going to be the entrainment. So a little bit like the Gastro Acid on the Eelektross, entrainment is going to mean that that Moxie ability, if it's there, it is going to be turned into Slush Rush once we use it. So we'll be copying our ability. Then we've got Snowscape. If we do see Rain Dance from the Salamence, we're going to be able to overwrite that, as well as get a defense boost to our Cetitan with the Snow once it's on the field. Then we've got Belly Drum to boost our attack when the time is right, when it's nullified stats and abilities, and then utilize Avalanche here. You might think it's a bit weird to have Avalanche, which doubles the damage once you've taken damage, so you essentially need to be hitting second all the time. And with Slush Rush, we're going to be fast, but ideally in this raid, we're going to be giving Slush Rush to the Salamence, so we'll always be outspeeding us. And then our Avalanche should be going second, especially after the Belly Drum. That 120 base power will be doing a lot of damage, especially after we have Terastallized. So this could work out well. I don't know if I'm 100% confident with it, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on, especially if we do see some of the options we've mentioned in today's video on that Salamence. Next up, we've got Corviknight. It is going to be a bit of an unconventional build, but I do think one that can do well against the Salamence. It's going to be able to resist the Dragon type, the Flying type attacks, and it has the immunity to Earthquake if we do see that option from the Salamence. Especially if we do see something like Intimidate from the Salamence, that Mirror Armor ability that we've got on the Corviknight is going to be able to bounce that back and lower the attack on the Salamence instead of ourselves. We've went for a Dark Terra typing here on the Corviknight. We've got the Covert Cloak here, just to give us a little bit of alleviation, especially if we see something like Hurricane from this Salamence. Those Hurricanes have that secondary effect of confusion. With the Covert Cloak, we're going to be able to avoid that. The moveset we've gone for is going to be Roost. It gives us a line of recovery, Iron Defense, Horn Claws, and then Power Trip. You can see where we're going with this. We're going to really concentrate on boosting our stats here to make sure that Power Trip hits as hard as possible, especially after we do Terastallize, and we're going to be able to soak up attacks pretty well from the Salamence with our resistances, with our base typing, and then once we are set up, we can Terastallize, use Power Trip, and hopefully cut through the raid pretty quickly. The EV spread is going to be pretty straightforward, 252 EVs in HP and attack, with an Adamant Nature and the remaining EVs put into defense. And like I've already mentioned, the most important thing here is that Mirror Armor ability. It is its hidden ability, so you would need to change that with an ability patch. Next up, going along the same sort of lines as the Corviknight here, we've got Bronzong, another Pokemon that is going to be able to resist those attacks, like those Dragon type attacks, those Flying type attacks, and it also has Levitate to get around that ground type weakness. You don't need to worry about Earthquake. The Terra typing here is Psychic, Shell Bell for a line of recovery, the held item, level 100 and Hyper Trained, with a moveset of Protect, Calm Mind, Iron Defense, and Stored Power. The EV spread is going to be 252 EVs in HP and in defense with a bold nature, but you could go for a modest nature here if you would prefer. The ability here, the most important thing, base ability of Levitate, going to give you an immunity to any ground type attacks coming out from the Salamence. The basic idea with this set is going to be, again, taking advantage of stored power. We've seen it with Pokemon we've used 7-star raids in the past. Going to be utilizing Iron Defense to boost our defense up to +6, so 3 of those, and then utilize Calm Mind to get our special attack up to +6, our special defense to +6, which is going to mean that stored power is hitting for sky high damage, especially after we have Terastallized. The Protect on here is to get around the turn where it nullifies our stats and abilities, because if it goes for that and then follows it up with an Earthquake, it could be quite detrimental to the Bronzong. But otherwise, I think this could be a decent set and an option that you should look at. It's got the potential to take on Salamence pretty well. The only thing I would say about this Bronzong is you're going to have to watch out for if it's got something like Flamethrower or Fire Blast, which could be quite threatening and things that you can't really get around. Another familiar face from recent 7-star raids is Clefable. This time we're going with a Psychic Terra typing on it. Shell Bell is the held item, level 100 and Hyper Trained, with the moveset of Protect, Calm Mind, Cosmic Power, and Stored Power. Very similar to what the Bronzong is trying to do. We've got the Protect to get around that situation where it nullifies our stats and abilities. We've got the Calm Mind to boost our special defense attack, as well as Cosmic Power, which is going to boost our defense and special defense. then that is going to mean once they're all set up, stored power is going to be hitting for a lot of damage, especially after it's terastallized, and although not super effective damage, still should be doing enough to get through the raid, especially when you consider the most important thing on Clefable, why we would use it, is that ability Unaware. Now, if we do see the Salamence with that Moxie ability, and it is getting attack boosts every time it knocks out a partnering Pokemon, we're not going to be affected by that because Unaware will ignore any boosts on the Salamence's side of the field. We've went with an EV spread of 252 EVs in special attack and in defense with a bold nature. You could change the EV spread so you go for 252 EVs in HP, but I've opted here just to start out before any testing with that in special attack, just to get a little bit more damage. Might need to be adjusted though, so that's something to keep in mind when the raid goes live if you do try Clefable. But I think a really good option and something that you don't need to worry about Dragon Dances, Moxie boosts, or anything like that. So the Clefable has got that immunity to Dragon type attacks. It makes things a little bit easier going into this raid. And the next one we've got is Dondozo, another Pokemon very similar to the Clefable in a lot of ways, but it has got a bit more bulk about it as well. We've went for an Ice Tera typing on this Dondozo, Shell Bell, the held item, level 100 and Hyper Trained with the moveset of Protect, Rest, Curse, and Avalanche, and the EV spread of 252 EVs in HP and in attack with an Adamant Nature here. And again, the most important thing is the ability Unaware, which is going to ignore all of those stat boosts on the Salamence's side of the field, meaning that we'll be able to set up pretty freely in this raid. Protect again is there going to be for the turn where it nullifies stats and abilities on our side of the field. We've got Rest if we need a line of recovery where we need to stall out a few turns, maybe get some health back. Curse is there to set up our defense and attack, so it means that Avalanche is going to be hitting a lot harder. And of course, once we have terastallized, we should always be hitting after the Salamence attacks, meaning that it would be 120 base power attack. So we should be doing some pretty significant damage after we have terastallized and got to +6 in our attack and our defense. So pretty straightforward. Might not be the fastest way to run through the raid, a little bit like the Clefable. I can imagine these doing it, but being quite slow in their ability to do it. I think the fastest option, if it is going to be able to run through the raid, is probably going to be something like Cetitan, potentially the Eelektross. It just misses a way to boost its own special attack, but with the Acid Spray, you've got a nice way to cut through and deal a lot of damage. But the Cetitan, I feel, could be a quick way to do it. We'll have to see what the Salamence has in its arsenal when the raid goes live, but there's some options I think are pretty stable going into this event later this week. If you've enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date with all of our Pokemon content. I will have a best solo builds video live shortly after this raid goes up, so keep an eye out for that one when it drops. And let me know down in the comments section what you expect to see from this 7-star Salamence, as well as what Pokemon you think will be best to take this mightiest mark Pokemon down. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in another video very soon. Until then, friends, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.